Forgiveness, forgiving ourselves and forgiving others, is not easy to ask for or to do. There seems to be a constant pull toward anger or resentment and holding on to those feelings, then the pull to forgive. Forgiving takes time, wisdom, courage, strength, patience, and belief in and help from God, the God who is with us every step of the way, even when we fall short and begin yet again. It has taken me most of my life to come to understand that forgiving does not mean forgive and forget, or excusing, or condoning, or letting someone off the hook, or turning the other cheek. I have come to learn, and not easily, and not without fighting every step of the way, what Dr. Edward Hollowell writes in his book, Dare to Forgive, that forgiving is about setting yourself free from the feelings of hurt, anger, pain, betrayal. He goes on to say, what is annulled in the act of forgiveness is not the crime itself, but the distorting effect that this wrong has upon one's relations with the wrongdoer, and perhaps with others. The one who is able to forgive is the one who benefits the most. I have struggled to both understand and experience the truth of his words.
Forgiveness is one of the most difficult and challenging things we are called to do by our faith. It is so counterintuitive, so countercultural. As Christians, we are told, no, we are commanded to forgive. It is at the core of our Christian faith. In the remarkable book, Picking Cotton, Jennifer Thompson Canino said, forgiveness is tricky. People think when you forgive someone, you excuse what was done. That's not what it is. It is about power and letting go. I needed to forgive, not for his sake, but for mine. No, that can't be right. If we forgive someone, it lets them off the hook. It absolves them. It minimizes the offense. It makes us look weak. It condones what happened. Yes, forgiveness heals the person who does the forgiving. Forgiveness is a spiritual act, not a legal act. Punishment may still be meted out, even if one forgives. In a remarkable act, Pope John Paul II met with and forgave the man who shot him. He forgave, but he did not ask that man be released from jail. Nazim Khamisa said after his son was senselessly murdered, I saw victims at both ends of that gun. Somehow, Azim was able to reach out to the family of his son's killers, saying, we both carry a burden of loss. Help me carry mine, and let me help you carry yours.
I believe that we are called by God to seek forgiveness and to forgive. I believe that forgiveness is a gift that sets the one who forgives free. And I believe that forgiveness is not about seeking justice, but is about healing. Each morning, as I say my prayers, I end by reciting the Lord's Prayer. Several weeks ago, as I was saying my prayers, I seemed to be especially focused on the words, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. God has instructed us to forgive. In the Lord's Prayer, we are seeking God's forgiveness for our sins, our shortcomings, our wrongdoings, just as we are to forgive those who have wronged us. It is that clearly stated, and yet so very difficult to do, isn't it? In 2003, I attended the Good Friday service at Trinity Church, Boston. The theme for the service was forgiveness. As I sat in the pew, listening, silently praying, and thinking about what I was hearing following each reflection, my eyes began to well up with tears. The next thing I knew, I was silently weeping. Thoughts came to mind, thoughts that I tried to push away, thoughts that I did not want to become consciously aware of, because then I would have to deal with them. I lost the struggle. The thoughts that surfaced in the form of a question. How can you sit here every Sunday, participate in other church services like Good Friday, listening to and believing in the words you hear and the prayers you recite? How can you ask for God's forgiveness and not forgive the one person in your life who has hurt you the most? I came face to face with my own hypocrisy, but not truly living into what we have been called to do after reciting all the prayers and saying all the things that I had done. That was a huge aha moment for me, and a significant breakthrough that led to my healing in ways that I could not have imagined. Not long after that experience, I was finally able to forgive the person who had hurt me so badly.
Trinity Church has played a central role in both Constance's and my life. Several years ago, like Constance, I was participating in a silent retreat at Trinity. As I sat there meditating, a voice with great clarity, so much so that I looked around and yet saw no one. A voice said, "You must forgive." You can imagine how that felt. The next day at church, I asked one of the associate priests, my spiritual mentor, if we could spend a few minutes together between services. After I described what happened, she asked what my deepest source of pain was, my most important unresolved issue. I had been hurt, deeply wounded, emotionally several years earlier, to an extent that I never imagined possible, and was carrying anger and resentment and pain every day. Helen said that was probably it. But I already knew that. I knew it from the time I heard those words the day before. I did not want to believe them. How could I possibly forgive given the circumstance? Her answer stunned me. She said to pray for the person. And I was always so resistant, but I did daily in my prayers, and sometimes in between. It took time and felt very unnatural and awkward at first. But over time, the pain diminished, the anger eased, the resentment was released, and I began to heal. I began to live again. I was finally in control of my own life. The healing I received is something that all of the counseling in the world could not have achieved.